our long TheraBand. Okay, so here we are. Let's put the TheraBand over the palm of the left hand and bring the right hand to the hip. And bring your feet underneath you, heels under sit bones, four corners of the feet plugged in. And let's lift the toes, lift the arches. From the arches, lift up to your knees. And you may think this is an old Iyengar instruction to lift at the inner knee. Try to lift at the inner knee up towards your groins. Relax your toes, but keep the arches lifted. And bring your shoulder blades onto your back body. Now really find your right shoulder blade and connect it down to the right hip pocket and the right four corners of the foot. Now right shoulder blade to left hip pocket, left four corners of the foot. So we really set up the foundation because that, including the right shoulder blade, allows us to open this arm, move this arm with strength and the stability behind it, and then we find the left shoulder blade. Now, you've got the left shoulder blade connect to the left hip pocket and the left foot, left shoulder blade to right hip pocket, right foot. Now, draw the shoulder blades away from the hip pockets, lengthening the rectangle. Take the shoulder blades wide, the hip pockets wide, widening the rectangle. And feel into the four corners of this back body. Feel the work around the shoulder blades. We want to wake this up because it will help us open the front body. And release, keeping the whole right side stable, open the left side again, and release, and feel how the whole rest of the body stabilizes for the movement of this one arm. We can do this as well in daily life, and if we do it consciously here, we'll start to do it unconsciously in daily life, leaving less room for injury in our limbs. And let's release. Okay, now bring the TheraBand over the right hand, left hand to the hip. Left shoulder connects to both hip pockets to the four corners of both feet. And then we take the right arm out and we find the right shoulder blade, connect them down, shoulder blades to hip pockets to shoulder blades. Keep the front ribs integrated. Check in with your knees again that you're not hyperextending. So don't throw your knees back in order to hold the shoulders open. Don't throw the pelvis forward in order to open the shoulders. And release. And then open. Find that right shoulder blade connected to both hip pockets. Release. And open. Stretch from left hip pocket to right shoulder blade. From right hip pocket to left shoulder blade. And release. Okay, now this is the new one that we started just about a week ago. We hold the TheraBand with the fingers in front and the thumb behind. I'll come a little closer so you can see my hands. And then we just turn the hands under and towards the body, and so that the TheraBand's wrapped around the knuckles, and we bring the TheraBand back against the thighs. Now what's most important here is that we begin by opening across the collarbones, and we find the shoulder blades on the back body, and we bring the humerus bone back into line. Then we press the hands back and the humerus back. So we don't take the hands so far back that the shoulders roll forward. We press back while opening across the collarbones and drawing the humerus bone back. And then we pulse the hands back as we broaden across the chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hold the knuckles back. Take an inhale. Place your tongue where hard and soft palates meet. Let the hot air balloon lift you. Exhale. Relax shoulders and hips away from the lift of the hot air balloon. Take another inhale and look over your right shoulder. Exhale back to center. You're still pressing back with the knuckles. Inhale. Lengthen the spine. Exhale. Look out over the left shoulder. Take an inhale out here. Shoulder blades still on the back body. Exhale to center and release. And roll your shoulders. Now put the TheraBand down and just stand in your Tadasana. Now feel how awake and alive, at least I hope, your shoulders are now. Your shoulders in connection to the arms, in connection to your hip pockets. Feel into your feet and balance the weight between the inner and outer heel, the big toe ball mound, and the pinky toe ball mound. Again, lift the toes. Feel the arches wake up. Release the toes. Let the head and hyoid bone rest back. And let yourself just rest in this mountain pose for a moment and tune into the breath. Breathe into the full circumference of your lowest ribs. So we just did all this work to open the chest and to find the shoulder blades on the back body so that we can stand in stillness in mountain pose. The hyoid bone or the neck crease rests back slightly so that the head can rest back on the top of the spine. And we tune into the breath, into the full circumference of our lowest ribs. Still imagine that that hot air balloon is lifting you skyward. Feel the space that can happen between the vertebrae. And let yourself just dangle here for a moment, breathing into the 3 dimensions of your torso. Let your tailbone hang long as the palate is being lifted by the hot air balloon, so that you breathe space between the vertebrae of the low back as well. Notice if you're clenching your buttocks, try to let that go. Let the tailbone hang. Let even the femur bones hang out of the hip sockets. Head's resting back. Another deep breath into the full circumference of the lowest ribs. And let's come to the floor. Okay. So on the floor, you will need your ball or block or oove, your long TheraBand, your circle TheraBand, and a pillow if you need a pillow under your head. Now, I've been saying in classes how important the pillow can be. So don't feel like you should avoid it at all costs. What you really want to do is support the neck in being long. So the hairline and the chin are even. If your chin's jutting up and you feel like the back of the neck is short, a pillow can help you begin to lengthen that for good postural alignment. Arms to your sides, palms up, thumbs out. Now really let the shoulder blades rest back. The head rest back the way it was when we were standing. And feel into your cervical spine. There should be a natural curve there. And lift the hands. Interlace your fingers the funny way. So that means hold your hands with each other and then do the opposite grip. And then bring the hands behind the head, elbows skyward. And lift the head just a tiny bit off the floor. Lengthen the spine, resting the head back, resting the hyoid bone back. You've just lifted just a little off the floor. Really rest the head. Totally rest the head. Now begin to take the hand support away from the head little by little and feel the muscles around your Adam's apple activate. If you start to feel muscles at the back or the side of the neck activate, you've taken the hands too far away from the head. You need to still support the head to really get into these front neck flexors working so you can keep tractioning the back of the neck. And then let's rest the head again, completely letting the muscles go. Feel the release. And then again, slowly release the hands away. Feel into the muscles at the front of the neck. Make sure the muscles at the back of the neck are still staying long. Feel how the muscles at the front of the neck may interact with the jaw. And then release the head fully to the floor, arms to your sides. Head of the arm bones rest back. Breathe into the full circumference of the lowest ribs. The breath is so important to this practice, to health and ease in the body. Breathe into the lowest ribs. And on your next exhale, float 1 foot off the floor. You choose. Now feel both shoulders grounding. Feel them connect with the hip pocket of the foot that is on the floor. And see how the body can stabilize for the lifted foot. Release the lifted foot. And as you think of lifting the other foot, stabilize the opposite side and then lift. Feel how you can really stabilize with the torso. And then release. And then float one leg to tabletop and float it back down, landing light as a feather. Float the other leg up. Now your neck and your jaw and your shoulders should be relaxed as you float one leg at a time up, bringing your shin to parallel. Have the focus be on landing your foot light as a feather, and then shifting weight and landing your foot light as a feather. In Pilates, we learn precision of movement because this precision of movement will help us become more graceful. And then we float one leg up to tabletop, and we activate the square, front ribs to hip pointers, and float the other leg up to join. Now from here, you can toe dip. If there's any strange pressure in your low back here, then feel free to bring your feet to the floor and bring a low block, a blanket, or a ball under your sacrum. And you can do this work from there. Okay, so we don't want your lumbar spine feeling like it's compressed if you have a flat back. Fluid breath. Now, pause here and take your left leg out to the left. Reach across from that left sacrum to the right shoulder, right low ribs, right sacrum. And feel how the right side can stabilize for the left leg moving out. And then exhale back in. Now take the right leg out and stretch across to the left shoulder, left ribs, left hip pocket. And come back in. Now very smoothly, just move the left leg out and the left leg in. So it's like pages of a book. The right leg out, the ankle and knee move evenly and in. We inhale out and we exhale in. And the torso creates stability for the movement of this one limb. And then you can see how, since the limb doesn't drag the spine along with it, we're less likely to create a spinal injury. And then we come back to center and draw the knees in and circle them wide of each other and back together again. We breathe three-dimensionally into the torso and enjoy sensations of movement. And then let's take the knees the other way. Good morning to the hips, synovial fluid flowing. And then keep the right knee in, lengthen the left leg out for your series of 5. So those of you who do not lift the head off the floor because of a neck injury or osteoporosis or penia, we nod nose a little towards mouth and we almost lift from the hairline, lengthening out through the spine. Those of you who lift do the same thing, but you lift up and you keep lengthening out the direction of the top of your head. And we switch and switch and switch and switch. Inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale, inhale, inhale, exhale, exhale, flowing with your breath, feeling into the extension of one leg as you draw the other leg in opposition, feeling the work in the core and the front neck flexors. And then draw both knees in, heels together, head rests back if you're lifted, hands and feet go to the ceiling, heels together, toes a little wide. Find your inner thighs. As you magnetize the inner thighs, feel how the hips magnetize as well. Reach from the inner thighs to the inner heel, lower hands away from feet, keeping the heels together, circle the arms, draw the knees in. We inhale out and we exhale in. Inhale, stretch, and exhale, open. So you may be up here. It depends on your point of control with your core. Make sure it isn't your lower back working, that you can ground the low ribs in the back towards the floor. We inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale. Good. Now lift your legs up to your tabletop, and you can go back to single leg toe dips. Or you can try keeping ribs reaching for hip pointers and lower the toes and exhale up. We inhale down, and you don't have to go far. Exhale up. Just go as far as you can still keep these front ribs integrated and not activate in shoulders, neck, and jaw. And one more. Toe dip and exhale back up. Now bring the legs up, one leg overhead, one leg long, and keep your arms on the ground, head of the arm bones back, and very slightly pulse the legs just 2 inches. 1, 2, and switch. 1, 2, and switch. 1, 2, and switch. 1, 2, and switch. Inhale and exhale. Make sure you're with your breath. Can you stay concentrated on long neck, no jutting chin, on shoulders resting back, on low ribs resting back? Good. Now, as one leg comes forward, reach your hands as high as you can up towards your foot. Those of you who lift, nod nose towards mouth. You lift, pulse, pulse, and switch. Pulse, pulse, and switch. You can do this from the ground. If your hamstrings are tight, the front knee can bend. Keep the leg descending towards the foot of the mat long, stretching out of the core of the body. Pulse, 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 pulse. And rest, hugging both knees into the chest. Circle around the perimeter of your sacrum and let yourself return to an easy breath, releasing tension from the body. So a lot of movement work is noticing that people have what's called hypertonic muscles, muscles that don't ever want to let go. They stay gripped. So part of the work is to release and to teach muscles when they're not needed, they can let go. Many of you may experience this as gripping in the shoulder area or in the belly where we hold tension. We want to teach the muscles to let go when they don't need to be gripped. Okay, now hands behind the head, flat to flat. See which hand you'd normally put under and switch. And then put the hands behind the head. Rest the head heavily onto the hands. Lift the head, elbows lift skyward. Reach the right elbow skyward as you lengthen the right leg out. Rest the head back into the hands. And switch, and switch, and switch, and switch. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Exhale. If you have a longer breath, you can do 3. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Just find your rhythm. Head rests back. The chin is not leading. The elbow reaches skyward before you may reach your armpit towards your knee. With osteoporosis or penia, we don't go into a massive twist, so we're not flopping over to the other side of the body as far as we can. Nobody wants to be doing that because we want to keep space between the vertebrae. Long spine, reaching elbow, reaching armpit towards opposite knee, possibly. And one more set, and rest the head back. And float one foot to the floor, landing lightly, the other landing lightly, and come back to the breath. Can you relax the muscles we were just activating? Part of ease of movement is that the body can realize, now I get to relax. I can be spacious. I can breathe in sky. I can melt into earth. And then we push a pillow out from our head if we have one in. Let's bring our elbows to the sides today, palm facing palm. And inhale, lift the pelvis. And exhale, lower the pelvis 3/4 of the way, and inhale, lift again. Now, can you press into elbows slightly and broaden across the collarbones as you lift? Can you lift and lengthen the tailbone so you don't overflare the ribs? We inhale up and exhale lower. Inhale up and exhale lower. The beauty of this work is that we're strengthening low back, glutes, and hamstrings. Simultaneously, we're stretching the psoas pathway open from spine through pelvis to inner thigh, down to inner knee and arch of the foot. Lift and lower, breathe into the full circumference of your torso, inhaling the lift and exhaling the lower. Feel the upper body alive. And on the next lift, pause and pulse the pubic bone. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hold. Lengthen the tailbone towards the knees. And then soften the heart and roll down one vertebrae at a time, trying to feel each vertebrae land on its own on the mat. And then come into your natural cervical curve and reach the tailbone down towards the earth. So you get more of a lumbar curve, and then reach the tailbone skyward and you flatten your lumbar curve and tailbone towards the earth and tailbone skyward. And we roll the pelvis. These are called pelvic nods. And we feel into connection here. So when we nod tailbone towards earth, feel the arch of the lumbar spine. When we reach tailbone towards sky, feel the flattening of the lumbar spine. Breathe into your body. These motion can be as subtle or as large as you want it to be. So play also with how does it feel if you become very subtle. Most of us go to our full range of motion automatically, and sometimes that's not the healthiest motion. So maybe come back to a slight motion and see if you feel different muscles, a different awareness in the body. And now the next time that the tailbone lifts, feel the sacrum on the floor and lift and peel the spine off back up into your bridge. Take an inhale at the top and exhale. Soften the spine, roll down one vertebrae at a time. Come into your natural lumbar curve, and one more time, tailbone towards sky, lumbar curve flattens. We peel the sacrum off, then the lumbar spine, then the thoracic spine. Come up into our lifted bridge for a deep inhale. And then we exhale and soften and feel each vertebrae coming back to the mat, really trying to create space and ease in the spine. We come back to our natural cervical curve. Okay, let's bring the right angle over the left knee. And let's let the left knee relax outward. Now, some of you who have tighter hamstrings may want to bring a TheraBand in. You could use a circle TheraBand around the leg, and that could help you lift using your arm strength to bring your elbows towards the floor. Some of you, of course, will want your pillows back in, okay? And we're going to exhale, and we're going to draw the left leg up, the right shin in towards our chest as far as we comfortably can. Make sure that in doing this, you don't jut your chin and shorten the back of the neck. So come as high as you can, still keep that long, keep the ribs grounding and integrating. And when you get to the top of your stretch, take it side to side a little bit, left to right. So one thing I want you all to remember to do in your own daily lives is to stretch open what we've been working. So the bridge poses, we've done a lot of hip work in the last month, and this kind of a stretch are really good for opening the hips. And then release. Okay, let's take the right leg off, bring the left ankle over the right femur bone. So for some of you, the knee may be really close to the chest, and your work is just allowing the knee to open out. And you can just stay here if this feels like a good stretch to you. If you want to go farther, you can wrap a TheraBand around the right femur bone. If you can reach through and take the femur bone or the shin with your hands, then feel free to do that. And then we rock side to side. You may want to use a forearm to press the knee out to get more into the hip. Keep ankle and knee even. Stay active in your feet so they're not sickling. They're alive in the four corners. And breathe into the stretch of the hips. And let the stretching be of equal importance to the strengthening. Balanced body is a healthy and easeful body. And then let's come back to center and release the right foot back to the floor and the left foot back to the floor. And let's roll over onto our sides. Okay, so now everybody may want a pillow unless you're comfortable coming up onto your hand. You can have your pillow here with your arm long for side lying work, or you can have your pillow even higher with the arm forward for side lying work. Or you can have the elbow long and your head in your hands, as long as you don't feel like that pressures your spine. Okay. Now, we don't just slump the low body onto the mat. We press down into the arm, not so much into the head. Wherever we are, we press into that shoulder, and we allow for a little lift in the side body. So see how I can do that here? I can lift And I can do that here. I can stretch and press into this more of the humerus and lift. Okay. And then we lift the feet. And so the heels, when they're on the floor, are aligned with the sit bones. And we open the knees and we close. And we inhale and we exhale. The hand can rest on the hip. The hand can rest in front of the belly on fingertips. And this is really nice because then you can find the top shoulder and you can find that rectangle of the back body. And you can keep that pretty still as you strengthen the hips. And then let's put the feet back down and let's lengthen the legs out. Now it's important that you stack hip over hip, that you're not rolled forward or you're rolled back. It's part of why we bring the legs out at an angle to help us make sure we're stacked. And then you can float the top leg up. Now point the toe, kick it forward, and heel draws back. Now you're trying to keep that rectangle of the torso pretty still. You can use the square here and let the leg move pretty independently in the socket. So we flex and stretch back, point, and bring it forward. Yeah. And so if it's just a little motion, but your lumbar spine gets to stay pretty still, fabulous. Okay. So that's what we're working towards. It's not, wow, I could kick way up here, but my back and hip just got really involved. Instead, I'm trying to find the motion where the leg moves pretty independently. Now, foot over foot, lift the pinky toe side in the heel and lower. We inhale and we exhale and inhale and exhale. Last one. Inhale and exhale. Now you can point the toes and circle, soccer ball size. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And lengthen the leg down the mat. Flex, circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Foot over foot. And last one, we will draw a line up the inseam of the leg, stretch, flex, and lower the heel. Just 3. Draw, lift, flex, and lower. Draw, lift, flex, and lower. Now point, bend, and draw out. Lift, bend, and draw out. Last one, lift, bend, and draw out. Okay, let's bend the knees. You can rub your buttocks a little bit if you want to. And let's try the other side. So when you lay down on the other side, really try to line your back body, sacrum and shoulders up with the back of the mat as best you can. Now, if your spine's kyphotic, you may be a little forward in the shoulder area, and that's fine. But you just want to find that alignment as best you can. Heels then line up with the sit bones, knees are out. And that's the perfect angle when we straighten the legs, okay? So we lift the feet. Plant your hand. Make sure you're not slumping into the side body, and knees open. And they close. And we inhale and exhale. Can this become a mindfulness practice where we feel into the body at work? We feel into what is actually working, and can I stabilize from the core? So for me, I have to think of drawing the ribs in and up. This side feels and looks really different because of my scoliosis, and I'm aware of that. So I really try to find this shoulder to help support me staying long. Last one. Good. And then we lengthen the legs out. We float the foot up, and we kick forward, and we flex and draw back. We point and kick forward. So it's not about how far a motion we go. It's definitely not about how fast. It's about how still we can keep the rectangle, how much the front ribs can integrate to support the torso staying long and the leg moving independently. Good. Now come foot over foot and flex, pinky toe and heel lift and lower. We inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale, breathing into the full circumference of the lowest ribs. And last one. Good. And then point, circle, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Take the leg long, flex, circle, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Bring leg back over leg. Last one, we draw and open this knee as much as we can. We draw a line up the inseam of the leg, flex and lower the heel. And draw, lift, flex, and lower. 3 beautiful movements instead of 20 slappy reps. And then we point up, we bend, we draw out, we point up, we bend, we draw out. Inhale and exhale, and then say thank you, hips. And we come, let's see, how am I doing time-wise? Okay, we're going to do one more thing on our back. Let's go ahead and bring the circle TheraBand around our thighs. You choose whether you're going to have the most supported block, the oov if you have one, or the ball, and bring that in under your sacrum. And if you have any questions about how either any of these props feel free to ask me after class. When you get yourself centered on your ball, feel ribs reach for hip pointers. And let yourself pause and breathe. So you're not in a back bend over the ball. You can come into flexion, which means you can draw your hip pointers towards your ribs. Your neck is long. You may need to put a blanket under it. Totally depends on your cervical curve, but nobody should have much of a blanket because we don't want to use the neck as leverage. We lift one leg into tabletop and we float the other leg up to joint and we pause. Ribs reaching for hip pointers. We take the knees as wide as the shoulders and we toe dip, right foot past left and come back up heel to heel. Left foot past right and we come back up heel to heel. And so our knees are as wide as our shoulders. We make sure we're not in a back bend. I see that you're just getting back, Katie. Yeah. And our toes are dipping at an angle past the other foot. Fluid breath. This gets us deeper into the psoas. Good. Now, bring the legs to parallel again. And really think of stabilizing ribs to hip pointers, shoulders and arms, so your elbows can be working. Bring your hands up now. Feel shoulders and arms and take the left leg out like the page of a book. And feel that left body working. And then exhale back in. Take the right leg out and feel the shoulders, the upper body working to help support the moving limb. And come back in. Now, how still can the rest of the body stay as the left leg moves out and in, and the right leg moves out and in. Stay with your breath. Inhale out and exhale in. Inhale out and exhale in. Fluid breath, fluid movements, feeling into stability. So how do the arms, the shoulders, the torso help you stay stable for the moving limb? Can the other leg, the still leg, stay really still? Last side. Good. And lift the legs up. Take the legs wide and just feel into the TheraBand around the legs. Bring the legs together and lift your TheraBand up to just below your ankles on your shins. Okay. So now it's really light. So this is the precision piece. Some people think, oh, I'm exercising, so I have to push as hard as I can into the TheraBand. Not so. You're just trying to feel the sensations of it. Take your legs out wide into the TheraBand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now bring right foot in front of left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now take the front foot and the back foot out to the side and switch places. Stay pressing into the TheraBand, not too hard, but enough that you can keep the TheraBand where it is. You can point your toes, and we circle, 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 circle. You can stay there or you can circle down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 2, 3, 4, and down. 2, 3, 4, and up. 2, 3, 4, and bend your knees. Take one foot's arch into the TheraBand and then the other, and you can easily then flick it off. And pause here in your tabletop and take a few breaths into the whole circumference of your lowest ribs. Three-dimensional breathing, fundamental to establishing healthy core structure. The internal core can't turn on well unless we breathe three-dimensionally. So a few more fluid breaths into the torso. And then legs lift straight up, come into your Pilates V. Find your inner thighs, magnetize them together, reach towards the inner heels. And we're coming into beats, but I don't really like that term. I'd rather have it be like light taps. And we take the heels apart 3 or 4 inches and we tap them together. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lower the heels 1 or 2 inches if you like. Keep ribs reaching for hip pointers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can stay here or lower again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lift to the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Back to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn your feet parallel and let's go walking. Half steps. So your legs stay as long as they can and you bring your ball to the mid-arch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sure your back doesn't come into a back bend, a lumbar curve. Keep the ribs integrated. Come back up, and we'll do one more set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Come into your Pilates V. Take your legs as wide only as your shoulders, down and bring the heels together, just as wide as your shoulders. Aim for precision. Now that you have the shoulders, try to open slightly wider than the shoulders and maybe lengthen your oval a little more. Out, continue out and long until you've reached your comfortable range of motion where you can still integrate limbs and keep ribs and hip pointers conscious and working, that it doesn't draw too much tension from your shoulders or your jaw. You'll know you've gone too far if that happens. And now make your circle smaller again, working on precision. A circle inside a circle inside a circle. Imagine there's paint on your feet and you're painting different colors inside, creating a rainbow. Now take the heels straight down the middle, come up shoulder distance wide, and do 3 shoulder distance wide so you work on precision. And then take it a little longer and a little wider, and a little longer and a little wider. Again, drawing your rainbow out and coming out to your point of control. You may stay there a few cycles, and then you come back in. Smaller and smaller and smaller. Beautiful. And then let's bend the knees. And let's bring one foot lightly to the floor. And let's lengthen that one foot out on the floor. Now, if this is too much in your low back, let that heel lift. If you have balance on your block or ball or oove, you can lift up and hold the other femur. So we're just breathing stretch through the pelvis here. And we're inviting the muscles that we're just working so hard to lengthen. So we take a few deep breaths along the spine and into the pelvic bowl. And we try to relax on the exhales. So notice, I just noticed my feet were really active. I'm going to let them relax now. I grew up doing gymnastics, so letting my feet relax is a very new thing to me, even though I've been doing yoga for a long time. It's amazing how the patterns in our bodies stick, but we can retrain ourselves. Okay, let's walk the long leg out, bring the other leg to the floor, draw the opposite knee in and lengthen the leg out, either above ground or on the floor. Make sure that you're not overworking the lumbar. We're trying to open this OS pathway. Fluid breath. You can rock a little. This is easiest probably if you're on ball or oov. If it doesn't feel good on a block, don't do it. But the rocking action can actually soften the body. It can help us relax. This is part of turning on the parasympathetic nervous system. We like to be rocked, we humans, most of us. Some of us may get seasick, like my mom, and that may not feel so good. So if that's true, you do not have to rock. Bring your leg in, let the other foot come to the floor, and pause in your bridge. And just let yourself relax for a few breaths, knowing that the relaxation is of equal importance to the work. We're so good at working, at pushing, most of us. Can we let the eyes rest back in the socket and the forehead relax and the jaw? And can we be in this moment, in this position with our breath? Everything we do can become mindfulness. And if this exercise feels good, then can we celebrate the moment? What our bodies can do, how our minds can continue to learn. Let's lift up off the prop and release. That's enough time on our backs. Let's come on up and let's get our chairs. Okay, I'm going to sit this way, but you can sit facing the screen. I'm just going to start here so you can see my spine. So here's what I want us to do first. Pick up your long TheraBand again. Okay, and again, we're going to hold one hand at the hip and take one hand out front. So sit bones are on the chair. This is the same work we started class with. Now, some tendencies, you're going to feel your tendencies now in your upper body. If you have a tendency towards more of a lumbar curve, you may want to stick your ribs out. So you want to keep integrating the ribs. If you have a tendency towards forward fold, you may want more of that. So you want to find long spine, shoulders aligned. One hand on your hip, other hand out forward, palm up. Really solidify the connection of the shoulder of the hand on your hip to that hip pocket and the opposite hip pocket. And then open the other arm. Now find that open arm shoulder blade and connect it into the hip pockets. Integrate your ribs and have the hot air balloon lift you straight up. So really feel into your sit bones. Try to lengthen both side bodies to the armpits. Let the head rest back, the hyoid bone rest back. No flaring of the ribs, no folding forward. We lengthen. The hot air balloon lifts us. And let the hand come forward, and then the arm come back. And two more times. Forward and back. And forward. Really feel just into the movement of this one arm and shoulder blade. And forward. Bring both arms forward at a diagonal. Okay? Spine stays long. We open both arms out away from each other and stretch. Now, make sure that the shoulders aren't coming up by the neck. Can you broaden across the top of the shoulders? Come in, and we widen. And come in, and we widen. And enough. Let's switch. Other hand, palm up, forward of the body, and hand on the hip. I'll switch directions this time. Okay, so this hand is important because that's how we find the shoulder blade. Hand on the hip, shoulder blade on the back, sit bones on the chair, ribs integrated, open your arm. Pause, stretch from the hip pocket of the hand on the hip to the shoulder blade of the open arm. Feel your sit bones in the chair. Let the hot air balloon lift you skyward. Feel shoulder blade to shoulder blade. Feel the whole rectangle of the back body and release and open and release. Try to just let it be the arm. The rest of the body is stabilizing for the movement of the arm. And last one. Good. Release. Bring the arms forward at a diagonal, both arms long. Make sure you're not locking your elbows. And stretch. Now notice if you want to do this, try to keep on your sit bones, lengthen the side bodies, and come forward. So instead of going at a diagonal with your spine, try to keep the spine upright and work the shoulders. And come forward and open. You can follow your breath, exhaling and inhaling, or alternatively inhaling and exhaling. Pilates wanted us to find our own breath patterns. And release and roll your shoulders. Okay, so now we're going to do a little of the seated core work with a long spine. So you sit up nice and tall on your chair. So this is postural alignment work. We lift the arms and we float ourselves back. Keep your natural curves. Try to really keep the cervical curve too. And lift one arm and exhale back down. And lift the other and exhale down. And lift one foot and exhale down. And lift the other and exhale down. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, release. Lean back. Now, see, can you inhale one arm, the opposite foot, and down. The other arm, opposite foot, and down. Arm and foot, and down. Arm and foot, and down. Good. And then we're going to start working out to the side. So again, when we think of this rectangle, when we lean back, when we take an arm out, we may want to follow it. Try to keep the rectangle still. So we lean back, natural curves to the spine, but long. And we take the right arm out and we exhale to center and take the left arm out and exhale to center. And one more time, right and exhale to center. And one more time, left and exhale to center. And inhale up tall and exhale, arms parallel and lean back. And let's try right arm out, left toes up and come back to center. Left arm out, right toes up and center. Left arm, right toes and center. Right arm, left toes and center. Good. And inhale up and release and roll the shoulders. Okay, let's come up off the chair and let's do some standing arm work with hand weights. So we became really aware of the myofascia, shoulder blade to hip pocket, shoulder blade to hip pocket. So now let's keep that awareness in the standing work. So if it's comfortable for you, you can bring your heels together and you can find that connection, inner thigh to heel. In this case, we'd zip up from the heel to the inner thigh, lift through the pelvic floor like an elevator, so going up the spine, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, out the glass ceiling and skyward, okay? Hands come together in the middle and we lift the zipper and then we press down the ice auger. So imagine you're meeting resistance. You lift and you press and you only lift to mid-sternum, so you're not bringing the shoulders up around the ears. We lift and release and lift and release. We're not hinging forward. One more. Inhale and exhale. Bring the arms wide, thumbs out, and in front of the inseam of the shirt, we inhale, snow angel up, and we exhale. The hyoid bone and the head rest back, and we feel how the torso and the legs are this firm foundation. The hot air balloon lifts us skyward, the spine has space, and the arms get to move fluidly. Now, if one shoulder is more of an issue for you, try to visualize it learning from the other shoulder. So really connect in to where the smoothness is in one side and how you'd like to invite it in the other. And last one. Inhale and exhale. And lifting the arms out, palms down. Pause. Hot air balloon lifts you, hyoid bone rests back. And then turn the palms up and draw the palms in towards your shoulders. And release out without locking the elbows and come in. And you're long in the spine and you're strong in the legs. And the four corners of each foot are plugged in. And we rest the head, the eyes back in the sockets, and we feel into what's strong and stable as we move. And last one. And we come in and bring the elbows in. They're the forearms in towards each other. And then we open and come in and open and come in. And when we open this time, pause. Find your shoulder blades on the back body. Connect each shoulder blade across to the opposite hip pocket and down to the feet. Now from here, stay strong in the upper body. See if you can lift to the balls of your feet. And lower. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And bring the arms in. And release the arms down. And roll the shoulders. Okay, sparklers are another one where we really try to stay upright. So those of you who have the tendency to fold forward, think of really lifting from the heart center and the inner collarbones. And we bring the arms forward for 16 circles up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, down the other way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Shoulder blades on the back body, thumbs out, pause, ribs integrated. Feel shoulders to hip pockets. Feel it. And now take the left leg out to the left. Bring your thumbs to your shoulders and reach the arms long. Find shoulders to hip pockets and see, can you lift the left toes off the floor? Lift off. Feel the rectangle and how each limb connects in and then come back. Stand strong on your left foot and reach the arms, integrate the ribs and lift the right leg. Pause. If it doesn't lift off, that's fine. Visualize it lifting off. That's part of Pilates work. Take a few breaths into the full circumference of the ribs and come back down. One more time. Stand strong on the right. Lift the arms, integrate into your square, ribs to hip pockets, and reach. Pause, breathe into the whole circumference of your lowest ribs. Feel your strength in your integration, and come back down, and take the toe out, and reach the arms. Feel the integration, and lift the leg. Feel it, and release. And roll the shoulders. Okay, tricep works the last of the arms today. Take your groins back, keep your rib to hip pointers strong, and reach down for the floor. Lift the elbows to the inseam of the shirt, reach to the floor. Lift. So I'm getting you to learn precision here. We don't take these way back and drop the humerus, the head of the humerus forward. We just come to the inseam of the shirt. One more. Inseam of the shirt, and now take the knuckles back. Now reach long, broaden across your collarbones, feel the shoulder blades on the back body, find shoulder blade connection to hip pocket. Underneath the spine, feel strong along the front of the spine all the way up to the hyoid bone and through the top of the head. And bend the elbows and lower the hands and lift and lengthen one more time. Reach out through the knuckles, through the top of the head. Find your shoulder blades, broaden across the collarbones, front ribs integrate. Take another breath, and then bend the elbows, release the arms and unhinge. And let's put the hand weights down. And let's pause for a moment in Tadasana. This is a mindfulness practice. We feel the four corners of the feet. We feel the arches. We feel our way up the legs. We notice the knees and how the joints are working. How do we find stability in the knees? Up to the pelvis. And here we begin to notice, are there any drag lines that drag us forward towards earth? And we bring breath into those drag lines to try to expand and lengthen them. So if we know we're tight in the front chest, as we breathe up the torso, we breathe that front chest open. We find the shoulder blades on the back body. We connect them down to the hip pocket below them and across to the opposite hip pocket, and feel how that opens the collarbones and how the back body can be strong and supportive of the front body being open, the heart being open. Now place your tongue where hard and soft palates meet and let that hot air balloon lift you skyward. Keep the rectangle of your back body alive and awake. Breathe the shoulder blades long away from the hip pockets and broad away from each other. Breathe the hips broad. Feel into the four corners of each foot. Let your shoulders relax away from the lift of the hot air balloon. Your pelvis relax away from the lift of the hot air balloon. Your femur bones dangle out of the sockets. Your feet resting on each of the four corners. Come back to the breath, into the 3 dimensions of your torso, breathing into the whole circumference of the lowest ribs. Can you hold this position and soften it? Can you relax into the head resting back, the heart resting back, the hyoid bone resting back? Can your face relax, your eyes, your jaw? How much can you soften to breathe into the full circumference of your lowest ribs? To breathe into the space between your vertebrae. To breathe your hands up to your heart. Let's bring our feet back into the Pilates stance if that's comfortable. If not, you can stay parallel. Inner thighs to heels are connected, and we bend the knees. Imagine that that rectangle is just sliding down a wall and sliding back up with your natural curves. We slide down and slide up. One more. Slide down and slide up. Now let yourself lift to the toes. Keep the rectangle long and lower. Don't hinge forward. Lift and lower. One more. Lift and lower. And we bend. Lift heels. Zip it up and lower and bend. Lift, zip and lower and bend. Lift, zip and lower. Now lift, bend, lower heels and zip. Lift, bend, lower heels and zip, and lift. Bend, lower heels and zip. Pause here. Heart resting back, heart resting open, head resting back. And let's inhale in to our ease and fluid grace in our bodies. Let's inhale in to recognizing where we stabilize and integrating. And let's inhale in the communities we love and offer them some of the good energy we generate in our practices. Thank you.